Good morning, guys. It's definitely morning. It's still dark outside. It's about 4:30, 4:45. Anyways, went to Lowe's last night, picked up some fittings. They didn't have everything I need, so I'll probably have to make another trip today. Yeah. So, this is about, I don't know, $180 worth of items. All of them aren't pictured here. There were some other things I had to get as well, but little known secret. If you go over to the underground irrigation section, they've got this wire. I've used this for years. There's 7 wires. It's a solid 18 copper. You can use these for all kinds of things. Thermostat wiring, low voltage circuit controls. Works really good with 12 volt stuff if you're using relays. So I bought a roll of that. I was out. Comes in pretty handy. Bunch of brass fittings, T's, elbows. Got a hose spigot there I want to install somewhere on Abel. And some 5/8 reducers or connectors for the plate heat exchanger. So, because these are 1/2" MPT and they didn't have this style in 5/8, so I had to buy couplings and the male threaded pieces. Also, yesterday got this bad boy in. It's kind of odd, the pictures on eBay showed one that was beat to live in hell, and I was willing to pay. Got this for $155 shipped, had guaranteed 3-day delivery, and I was willing to pay, you know, that much for one that was beat up. But this thing looks like brand new. There's a little bit of dirt on it, but I mean, as far as items go, this is pretty good condition. For those of you that don't know, this is an Eberspacher D5WZ. It's hydronic heating. You basically run coolant through it with a pump. I got a circulation pump down here I told you guys about earlier. This circulates coolant through the passageways here. There's a little stove inside here. It's like a collar, and then the coolant goes around it, and so while that fire is burning inside that collar, it's heating up the water that passes through, or the coolant that passes through. They sound like a little turbo when they're running. Pretty neat device. It's got an ECU on it right here. This is the brains of the operation. I've got to go inside and decipher a bunch of different diagrams and books that I got for these. This looks like a 10-pin connector, but 2 of the pins are missing. From what I've seen on videos and whatnot on the internet, people hook just power up to this unit, so basically put a switch on it, and it regulates the coolant temperature on its own because it's got an ECU. It's got a sensor inside here. It controls the dispersal, the diesel dispersal pump right here. So it does all that through the little ECU control box here. So you basically just need to get power out to it, and it'll keep the coolant at a certain temperature. It's a pretty smart little unit. They're really expensive if you don't get them used. They're probably about, you know, for a kit it's probably $1,500. If you buy just this unit without anything attached to it, it's probably about $1,000, and that's brand new. So I'm doing it on a budget, trying to piece together some stuff that'll work. I want to show you guys that you know, anything is achievable on any budget if you put your mind to it. And aside from that, I'm going to get started on putting some of this stuff together and running the plumbing when it gets brighter out. I've got to research some wiring diagrams and whatnot, like I said, so I'll be working on that as well. Alright guys, that didn't take me very long, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to put a hose spigot right here. I got the hot and the cold ran to this, but I'm missing some fittings for the back of it. Under here. It's gonna be tight. Got the heat exchanger. That's plumbed in. Waiting on some heater hose so that I can run the 5/8 lines and plumb it into the truck cooling system. Got a T set up here to go through the bed and up to the sink in the shower in the shelter. When I have the hydronic system in here, I'm probably going to put the Webasto like up here. It's a good spot for it. But when I have that in here, I'm going to tie wrap all these hoses together and route the coolant lines with them, so that way the hoses don't freeze. I'm also going to run it under the tank like I was talking about through those openings. So I have to head to Lowe's because I'm all out of fittings again. There just wasn't enough, so this might be the end of the video, and I might continue it when I get back. We'll see. Well, I'm back. That didn't take long at all. They had all the fittings I needed except for 2 5/8 T's for teeing into the cooling on the truck, the coolant lines on the truck. I'll probably have to order those online. It's not a very common size to have at a Home Depot. An auto parts store would have plastic ones, but I want the brass ones. So I also picked this up. I'm going to try to put it together on the bottom tank inlet, the 1.5 inch inlet for a drain valve. Not sure if it'll work, but I got to see if I got enough room under there to do it. So I'll grab that. I think I got everything I need to get it plumbed 100%. The water won't be hot, but it'll still be plumbed, so let's see how far we can get today. Things are moving right along. I got the hole punched in the front center of the truck bed to pass wires and coolant lines and water lines through. Got the fittings on the sink. The sink's ready to go back in. I got to punch some holes in the shelter. Amazon stopped by and dropped this off. When we're out driving around, it seems that people like to cut right in front of us. And even though I have air brakes, I probably don't have the stopping power of a little tiny car. So we're getting tired of it. And hopefully this helps alleviate the situation, along with some broken rear windshields and some free hearing aids for whoever decides to do that. So looking at the reviews for this and watching some YouTube videos, it's ridiculously attention grabbing. Can imagine the fire truck horns when they're ripping down the street, how stressful it is when they're blowing their horns. That's what's going to happen if people decide to play silly. Anyhow, this is actually going to work out too. I got the parts sitting here glued together. Will be a nice drainage valve for the tank. Need to punch those holes, get those cables and hoses fed through, and then we'll keep moving forward. Alright, got all the plumbing done. These are all the parts I have left over. This is just the water side. This is not the Webasto or Eberspacher side for the heating yet. Still waiting on a bunch of parts from Amazon to get that done. Let me take you out here and show you what I did. This is going to be a wire to test the pump. I want to make sure I'm able to turn that off, and I haven't got the permanent wiring done, so anyhow, got the shower box plumbed in, hose bib, pump back there is all done. The fill dish I'm not done with. I still need to get the 1.5 inch hose, but that'll be here on Monday. Under here, I did all the plumbing Let's see if I can get a good angle on this. Alright. Got the drain valve there. That worked out really good. It's a nice setup right there. Hopefully it doesn't leak. I've never used a valve like that before, so I don't know if it'll leak or not. Like I said before, I still got to run the coolant through here. Probably going to mount the Webasto up there. I'm just guessing here at this point. If you look up there, I drilled like a 3-inch hole through the bed, landed it perfectly, and I've got my lines running up through there over the frame. And there's that 1.5 inch that goes to the fill dish. Haven't got that done yet. Inside the shelter. Got the sink set up. Reason I got the towel here is because we're gonna get some water going in the tank, turn the pump on and see what starts leaking. I did about 20 or 30 connections, so I'm gonna have to check all of them, make sure they're all tight and whatnot. So let's get some water in the tank. Let's get the transformer outside here. So I've got 12 volts going to the pump, and we'll see what ends up happening. Well, the system is working. I got the transformer turned on. I broke this stupid plastic shower head when I was screwing around out here, so I'll have to get a new one of those. But there's quite a bit of water pressure here. I'll show you. Pretty good, and the pump is really quiet. You can hear it. It shuts off at like 55 psi. So look at that. That's good enough for a shower, right? The best part is this in here. There's still some air in the lines, but yep, running water inside the shelter finally. Whew. It's pretty awesome. Well, it's a little bit after lunch, so I'm gonna get everything cleaned up and head in the house, and I'm gonna call it a day today. The next thing I gotta do, oh, there's Aura, the shop kitty. The next thing I gotta do is the electrical, and then I'm gonna bench test the Eberspatcher once I sit down and look at the wiring diagram a little bit better. Other than that, I will catch you guys next time. See you later. Bye bye.